It's been a while since I've filmed me. I've been using a lot of Great Smoky footage, and I'm finally wrapping that up. And we're coming on 1 year that I've owned the Royal Enfield. So if you are new to the channel, my name's Mads. I own a 2022 Royal Enfield Classic 350 that I rode, what was it, 8 states last year through with, and down the Blue Ridge Parkway, down the Great Smokies Parkway, down the Tail of the Dragon, down a lot of different highways that are very well known in the motorcycle community. That's what I've been filtering through. I will be leaving links to all of the videos of our Smokies adventures down below. So if you are new, then you can enjoy those. I figure since I'm at a year of owning the Royal Enfield Classic 350 that I could give a review on it. I'm sure people would love to have that, especially I couldn't find a lot of American reviews when I was looking into my Classic, and I would love to kind of add to all the reviews as well, because there was not really that many of reviews. There was a lot of like first rides, but I feel like there should be more, hey, I've owned it, here you go, this is what I think, use it as you will. And yeah, so kind of a long story short, because I know how it is when you're watching a review and they give like this huge spiel about why they got to the Classic, why they decided on a Classic, and just stuff that feels like it's not important to the story. Long story short, we decided to go on the Great Smokies Trip last year, the beginning of last year, 2023, and I had a Suzuki Boulevard S40. It was a 650. It needed some work still. We weren't sure if we were gonna have enough time to do it before the trip. My fiance happened to just half-ass research motorcycles just for fun for me, and he found the Royal Enfields. He found also a dealer that was really close to us, or close by to us. We visited that dealer. I fell in love with the Classic 350, the looks, the feels of the bike. I fell in love with the bike altogether. I felt like a little kid at Christmas, and I had the hugest grin after test riding this Classic. So I was like, I'm gonna get it. And that's what ended up happening. It's just been fantastic. So before I get any further into my journey and my review, I want to share a video that I shot last year when I was going to do a 6-month review, and it ended up got busy. I ended up doing wedding photos for someone that I know really well, and then our trip was all of a sudden here. So without further ado, this is the bike itself that I had bought, and all the modifications that we've done to it so far. Now, some of it we've kind of adjusted since our trip, so eventually I think I'll share more of a tour as well, and I'll show a trip tour as well of the bike itself. So here's this clip. So this is my Royal Enfield Classic 350. I see that the birds crapped on it. It really needs cleaned. We actually rode it around during vintage days. It was really nice, especially with its kind of off-road capabilities. Now, if you have seen pictures so far and you're kind of trying to get an idea of if you want the bike or not, you know that these mirrors are not stock. These stock mirrors, you can see the little knobby here was here, and we ended up getting the bar end mirrors. Now the cool thing about the Royal Enfields is they have a whole bunch of customizations that you can do that is available. Now either you have to find a dealer that actually carries that, which is hard to find in the US, or we've been able to get it on eBay from India. Actually, that's where this seat came from. This is not the actual original seat. This is the low-ride seat. They come with, you can either get a touring seat, a low-ride, or just keep the original. This is actually the original seat. Just kind of give you an idea. It's not too far off. It's just, this has a little more padding than this one did. I probably should have just taken that out of the bag. The low ride seat has been nice for me just because I am short, and it's been nice to be able to, I don't know, I kind of have a better way of standing whenever we're at a stoplight or something. I feel better with this lower seat. And we kept the other seat because it does work. I have ridden with the original seat. It's fine. But I'm still kind of green. If you have watched my journey, I haven't ridden for 2 or 3 years, so I kind of like the lower seat. Gives me a sense of having more stability and everything when I am stopped at a light or something. Now obviously too, these bags are not Royal Enfield bags. Now if you also have been doing research, or if you're just starting out, Royal Enfield does make bags for the classic 350. It's either soft bags, they kind of look like old messenger bags or military bags, or you can get hard bags, but you either get one or the other when you order those. You don't get a pair when you order, so just be aware of that if you are getting hard bags. Or you can go our route. These Gibi bags are actually universal bags, and they are throw-ons, so you can see where the straps are that connect these. They're just throw-ons. They don't have to be bolted on, which is nice. They are waterproof, which I love, but ultimately if you are thinking about getting one of these motorcycles, just be aware that you're going to need smaller bags, because especially if you're doing universal, which I think Viking has some universal that would have worked. It's so hard to find other brands that have Royal Enfield fitting specific that might be mounted, just for the fact that Royal Enfield, it's just kind of unique in their way of not really having, I guess you could call it aftermarket parts for that. I guess that would be the best word to describe it. So these Gibi bags actually have been really great so far. It's just been nice to have saddlebags. Like the Suzuki, I never got the saddlebags on it, and the Yamaha Vino, the scooter that I had, actually had a compartment, so I had missed having that luxury when I got to the Suzuki. Very standard after that. A lot of people actually modify the exhaust on here. I mean, you can see, look at the dirt. Oh man, they had they watered down some of the drives and everything, so it was kind of muddy, so you can kind of see the dirt. Plus the birds hate me today apparently and shat all over my bike, so we're pretty much probably gonna get it cleaned tonight, which is fantastic. It needs it. And then it's gonna get its nice little Nelson Riggs bike cover on it and get it tucked in and go night night until we go riding again. So yeah, pretty stock after that. I mean, you can see kind of the classic look to it with the light and everything. It's just got that nice, beautiful vintage feel. I absolutely love these bar end mirrors, I'll tell you that much. These, I feel like I love these better than the actual stock mirrors. And then I have my RAM mount, which is not stock at all either, but we always keep these for our cell phones. Of a trip, and this is the first time, well, we packed most of our stuff last time except for the meals. You hear a lot of stuff around here. And there's the Enfield. I'm getting a lot of comments on it coming down. This is how we've been trying to dry our towels out and dry all of our existence out, as you can see. The bags have been doing okay. I got everything in dry bags in my saddlebags. And then my duffel has been actually phenomenal. And then John's. I enjoy the bike as kind of like a beginner. I've rode for probably a good 2 or 3 years before I stopped riding for 3 years. So I'm kind of a beginner in the motorcycle range because I had a scooter for 2 of 3 years. For getting a brand new bike, because this was my first brand new bike, this is actually my first brand new vehicle altogether. Getting the brand new bike, you have to look up the break-in period and how to approach the break-in period. My fiance did most of the break-in period stuff for me because, again, I am still fairly green and he was more experienced than I am. I felt better with him doing it more than me. So if you are new to riding and you're thinking about getting a Royal Enfield altogether or classic 350, if you have somebody that is more experienced and you are getting a brand new bike, or if you are wanting to do it yourself, just look up that break-in period process. There's only a certain amount of miles per hour that you can go towards for a certain many amount of miles, and there's also valve adjustments involved as well, or checking the valves. That's another thing with the Royal Enfield Classic 350. It is a lot different than your normal typical motorcycle. It has to have valve adjustments. Normally, typically, the newer motorcycles out there, you don't have to worry about that. You just ride, go, do oil changes, make sure you do the regular maintenance on them, da-da-da-da-da. With the Classic 350, there's a little extra maintenance involved when it comes to the valves. Now, I've only had to adjust the valves once, and I've ridden this bike 4,000 miles last season. So it's not as a big to-do as most people make it sound like it in some videos that I have watched with reviews, but it is something that you need to be aware of. You can take it to a dealership if you want, and also think about the warranty as well. Some dealerships are weird about, you doing your own maintenance for a certain period of time while the warranty is still in use. So keep in mind of that as well. We actually got universal saddlebags for the Enfield. There are Enfield saddlebags that will go with the Classic, but some of them are weird. You can only order one or the other, or they don't come in a duo, a pack, whatever you want to call it. So we ended up with the Geevee bags. I have not really been impressed with the Geevee bags so far. They did really well on our trip. I did, however, put everything in dry bags on our trip because I've noticed that the Geevee bags love to put in condensation in those bags. So I wasn't sure how it would go. It seems like with the duffel though, on top, the Geevee bags really didn't leak at all. So that was a bonus. But kind of do your research on all that. There's a lot of saddlebags out there that are universal that could fit the Royal Enfield. The Geevees have just been something that we knew was a good brand and that we just decided to try. Now, once they go, I'll probably get a different brand, but I'm just gonna run them until they die at this point. Now, going into our trip was kind of interesting just because, it was a lot of miles that we covered and everything. The bike handles really well in corners. That is something that I have learned through the whole trip. It handled really well with weight. You're not going to pack a lot on a Royal Enfield, obviously. It's, the Classic 350 anyway. Now, if you got a Continental or an Interceptor, that's a different thing. But with the Classic 350, not a lot you can hold on to because you got to get smaller saddlebags and everything. But it handled quite a bit. And for being my first time with a lot of luggage on a motorcycle and quite a bit of weight, it handled really well. And I didn't notice it at all. Even when we took some of the weight off for the day, it didn't bother me, didn't notice it. It really handled super well. Like I said, it handles corners very well. It is great off-road. We took it off-road onto Hyantuga Round Bottom Road, and that was super fun. It's meant to be off-road. It's meant to be on-road. It's meant to go everywhere. That's what they built the Classic for, especially for in India, because that's usually where these Enfields are reproduced and made for. So it's been quite a joy for that reason in particular. And you get a lot of looks when you get the Royal Enfield Classic 350. We happened to be at one of our favorite lodges in Virginia, and they happened to have a classic motorcycle thing before we got there. And some of the older gentlemen that were still lingering from that week were like circling the bike, thought it was really cool. We got stopped quite a bit when we would park. We actually met people that had the classics as well, which is unusual. I don't get to see people very often that own the same bike as I do. And I had a lot of people go, I've never seen one of these before, or I've heard of these and I've always wanted to see one, or I haven't seen one of these in a long time, or it was really cool. It's a nostalgia bike. It's definitely a bike that people will stop you and want to talk to you about it, want to, you know, get the story behind how you ended up with it. They'll give you stories behind why it's nostalgic for them. It's really a neat bike for that reason, and I really appreciate it that way. Would I ever change the Classic 350? No. I'm perfectly and utterly grateful that I got the bike and I got the one that I did. It has been phenomenal. It did really well while we were out of state. It handled mountains and curvy roads, and it handled just anything that came its way. We were in a lot of rain, and it handled super well while we were riding through rain and on wet pavement. It handled with cooler weather too. That we had a lot of cooler weather while we were in the Smokies, and it just would fire right up and want to go. It was just a phenomenal bike, and it still is. I'm super excited to get it back out. I am ready for this coming season. We've talked about doing another trip with the motorcycles, which I'm like, after that trip, I'm like, let's go to South Dakota or go somewhere cool. You know, not that the Smokies aren't cool, but I just really got excited again about motorcycling with the Royal Enfield Classic 350. I really got excited about getting back out there and enjoying the open road with a motorcycle again. It was a phenomenal time, a phenomenal ride. I got to see so much, and I felt so accomplished being on my own motorcycle. I got to ride the Tail of the Dragon on it, which was pretty epic, in my opinion, to enjoy the Tail of the Dragon by myself on a motorcycle. And I've enjoyed sharing the videos with all of you of the Royal Enfield and of our motorcycle trip and some of the rides that we got to do. I'm just excited to share more videos of that. The bike did open up a lot when we were down there. I feel like it's not a loud bike at all. I mean, it has a little purr to it, but if you're wanting loud, it's not. But it does have a little more of a purr to it, which I love. It's just a great bike. A great bike for beginners, a great bike if you're wanting a nostalgic feel, a great bike if you're just wanting something to just tool around in at the state park or on the island or wherever you just want to putt around. It's a leisure bike. It's something that is meant to be enjoyed, not to go fast, but to just enjoy life on. And I think that's why I fell in love with the Classic 350. It was just something to enjoy life and enjoy the great outdoors on. And if you're thinking about one of those bikes and you really want to go on a trip, or you really want to just enjoy being out on the road, I highly recommend it. Now, if you go on a trip, take a little bit extra time. You're not going to be going super fast on the highways. If you want to go down the back way, that's totally fine. That's what these bikes are meant for, and that's what we were going to do, but we kind of wanted to see its limits on the highway, and it did perfectly great. It's great all the way around. People diss 350cc motorcycles, but honestly, it's a pretty cool bike, and I hope you enjoy this video. Like and subscribe on this YouTube channel. We'll be doing a lot more motorcycling this coming summer and spring, and I'll be posting a lot more of those videos. I think I have a couple more videos of our trip that I need to post. And I'll be giving some updates too on what the channel will be like from now on, and some updates on my blog, my podcast, and other platforms that I do with Mad Squatch Photography. As next time, see you later.